There's always another Islamic terrorist attack coming. Always. If a German started me going Sieg Heil, I'd be thinking he's probably a Nazi.
Oh my
Didn't
God.
we had a discussion about
God.
rifles, about semi-automatic.
Talk about bitter memories. Talk about revenge. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Buckley is 55. Welcome to The Mayor and I, episode 55, which coincides with his age.
Yeah, I'm actually 56.
Yes, I know. I was flattering you. And it's a weekly conversation between Nick and I. Yep. We cover various topics of interest to us both. Nick doesn't know what I'm going to ask him questions about before we start. And Nick Buckley, MBE, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we had a good chat about illegal immigrants in the Cresta Court. You're going to talk, I'm sure you'll mention later about the Cresta Court and the Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll do that now. Cresta Court has a Facebook page, not Cresta Court. The residents of Altrincham, who are second-sided, have got a Facebook page. Follow it and join the conversation. It's called Altrincham Residents Migrant Discussion Page.
And I want to kind of carry on, Nick, to talk about migrants and legal and illegal migrants. By the way, they now call them asylum seekers, aren't they? Which I despise. They're illegal immigrants, these guys. They're not asylum seekers.
Irregular migrants as well.
Oh, irregular migrants. Again, it's just part of the gaslighting.
Yeah.
There was an attack in London last week. Was it last week or was it this week? I'm not sure.
I think it was weekend. No, it was Remembrance Sunday.
It was Remembrance Sunday. Yeah. Can you tell me initially what you heard about that and what you believed had happened?
My first thing I heard was stabbing in London, someone dead. And then throughout the day, it turned out it was Machete Attack.
Oh, was it a Machete Attack?
Machete, that's what I read. Machete
I
Attack,
didn't know that, yeah.
Which then makes me think gang-related. One, I'm presuming a man dead, somebody with their arm chopped off, and someone else injured.
With their arm chopped? That's hard to do.
With a machete, if you swing it hard enough and it's been sharpened.
I wouldn't know, Nick. Clearly you have far more sharpened machete experience than I do.
Well, you never
But I would just think you've got to get through the skin, through the bone and the muscle. With one blow?
Yeah.
Was it one blow?
I don't know.
We need more detail off this.
Yeah, it's the bone that's hard to get through.
I know.
The muscle and skull, that's easy. It's the bone.
You're a little bit too familiar with this, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned.
Well, I was in the SAS.
Oh, really?
No.
I thought you were going to use the initials to say something else, like...
Anyway, pictures then come online. It's a black man. We then find out he's a Somali. And the police are going straight away, not terrorist related. It's amazing how quickly they know things aren't terrorist related these days. Man with a machete. I think the fact the person he killed was also black and probably Somalian makes them think, oh, this isn't terrorist attack. And that's really all I know about it.
I think what's interesting about this for me is the gaslighting that we're now seeing on a regular basis from the media, from the police, from everybody else. Because we were told initially there was an attack, weren't we, that in London. A man, it said, a 63-year-old man.
Yeah.
He doesn't give any indication of race, colour, whatever. It didn't say a 63-year-old white man, a 63-year-old. So as soon as it doesn't say white man...
We all presume it's brown or black.
Yes! So this is how extreme the gaslighting is now. They're very happy to state a 63-year-old white man has attacked somebody, but as soon
and
as...
show you a mugshot straight away.
And show you a mugshot straight away. But once they say... And I'm please, I pray to the general public, you must be coming alive to this now. If they do not state the colour of the person within a few seconds or within the first articles, you can be pretty certain it's going to be non-white. And so this was so my immediate thought was knife attack, London, not white, not work, must be a black person.
There's also another red flag they use as well when they release this information and they go, don't speculate.
Yes.
If they say don't speculate, you know it's not a white person.
Correct. And it's time to speculate.
Yes.
And it's and I look at this and I just think we are living in 1984 now, aren't we? The Ministry of Truth is well and truly in power. that they are now deliberate. As soon as something happens, they hide anything from us that they think we shouldn't know, basically.
Yeah, because we can't be trusted with the truth.
Yeah. Now, they've also said it wasn't a terror attack. Now, apparently, allegedly, people from around there said that as he attacked this guy, he was shouting Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
So, forgive me if I'm wrong here, Nick, but if somebody attacks somebody with murderous intent and shouts Allah Akbar, is that not a terrorist attack?
I'd put it right up there. I'd put it right up there. Just like if a German stabbed me going Sieg Heil, I'd be thinking he's probably a Nazi. But again, we're lied to all the time by the mainstream media, who I'm sure has pressure put on them by the police. You can't report this. It's ongoing investigation. You can't report this in case a riot breaks out because of what you're reporting. You can't report this. So pressure is being put on the mainstream media all the time, coming from the police, which comes from the government, really. If you're shouting Allahu Akbar and you've got a machete and it turns out not to be terrorist related, it should be reported as a potential terrorist attack until you prove it isn't one.
Yeah. And what the press should have actually said is a black man with a machete shouting Allah Akbar attacked pedestrians in, wherever it was.
Yeah.
That's the reality of what happened, isn't it? These are things that were observed at the scene. You can observe he's black.
Yeah.
You can observe he's got a machete. Yes, these are facts. He was attacking him and he's shouting Allah Akbar.
Yeah.
That should be reported.
Yeah.
At that point, you may not say it's a terrorist act, but I think even any reasonable press person could say it's highly likely, given the fact this bloke was shouting, as you say, somebody shouts at you with an axe shouting Sieg Heil, you've got a pretty good sense it might be a Nazi.
Yeah.
So, but we have moved so far from the truth now that this is how things like this are reported.
I think it's even worse than that. If you had to pick one day of the year that is extra special in our calendar, it's Remembrance Sunday. Yeah. It's remembering all the people, mostly men, who were better than me and you, who were a different breed, who who put their life on the line to save this country, to go fight wars.
Both of my grandparents.
Yeah.
Both of my grandmother's father and my grandfather's father both fought in the wars. Yeah. One
of my grandfathers fought in the Second World War. My other grandfather was Irish, and they were neutral.
Right.
Neutral, but in that time was another word for coward.
Coward, I was going to say. I didn't like to say it. It was a relative of yours, but that's fine.
And we have foreigners chopping each other up and murdering each other.
Yes.
During Remembrance Sunday.
Yeah.
Any Londoners, black foreign Londoners, can kill each other 364 days of the year. Can you not just give us the one day, that one morning, where we want to be a bit solemn and think about people better than us and how dangerous the world was and how lucky we are to have what we have now? Can you not just give us one morning when you're not chopping each other up? It was.
But why would they do that? Because actually white people who celebrate Remembrance Sunday are in a minority in London.
Yeah.
So why should they be given a day? Because actually the majority of people aren't celebrating Remembrance Sunday.
All our big cities, especially London, London's fallen. It's not an English city anymore now. It's now a UN city. There's no real culture, there's no real people, there's no real belonging. It is basically a hotel / airport lounge where people from all over the world end up and move on and see each other. No one cares about it because you don't care about a hotel. You don't care about the long-term success of a hotel. We treat hotels quite poorly because we're not invested in that business, in that building. And that's what many migrants and many of our big cities now have become. The people who live there don't care. And we know they don't because they didn't care about their own countries. So why do we think they're going to care about our country? They fled their country and ran away like cowards and left the family and the friends to come here. So we don't care about our cities, and we're allowing them to turn our cities into their version of their cities.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of not surprised. My wife was observing this chap, and she made a really good point. I mean, she does make really good points about things. And the guy, this Somalian guy who's 63 years old, which is not a bad age, I hasten to add. His hair was all sticking up, his teeth were missing, he looked decrepit, and clearly, obviously...
He looked like he needed private health care.
Yes,
he should come to Altrincham.
Which he'll be getting, I'm sure.
Yeah, he should come to Altrincham.
And what she said, which I thought was a fabulous point, how did he get into this country? How did he get through all the immigration, feels like I've got a fly there, immigration things or whatever? He's clearly got mental issues, he looks decrepit, he's clearly not got a job or whatever.
Yeah.
How did he get in?
There's two ways, maybe three. The first way is obvious. He got one of the boats over, and now he's an asylum seeker. He might be a bit old for that. So
that's what I was thinking.
Another way he could have got over is one of his younger relatives got here, got settled status, and then you can bring 8 family members over who then can fly over legally. So was he someone's family member, or has he been here for such a long time? Somalis started coming over here in the 80s, late 80s, because of the Civil War. So he could have been here for decades.
Oh, is that when they started coming over?
Yes, in the 80s.
And
the 90s.
And do you think they're net contributors as Somali to? Do you think they're generating tax for us? These guys?
No, Somalis. If you had to do a league table of the worst migrants to accept in the country, Somalis would be towards the bottom of the list. They are uneducated. They are prone to violence and criminality. Some of them who proper fled there have seen the most horrendous crimes, who are mentally ill now because they've seen people being chopped up with machetes and stuff like that. No real work ethic from what I can see, lots of them on benefits. There's also a drug they like called cat.
Oh really?
Cat.
You're remarkably knowledgeable about Somalians.
It's leaves they chew, which gives a mild sedative.
Where did they get it from?
I don't know. I'm not sure if it's been made illegal now in this country, but when I worked for the police and the council, it was flown in every 2 days. The lifespan of it is only...
By who? The government?
Yeah, no, it was legal to import. So
I see.
It got flown into London, and then it would be distributed across the country to all the Somali areas. It only lasted 3-4 days, so they were getting 2 or 3 flights over every week and selling it.
If it is still legal, we'll be seen chewing it in the next episode.
Shall we?
So, 16% of our population overall lives in social housing. Did you know that? No?
I didn't know the figures, right?
16%. What percentage of Somalians do you think live in social housing?
Oh, it'd be a lot higher than that. You also have very big families as well.
Yeah. What would you think? So if we say the average total population is 16%, that includes all our 10 million immigrants.
Double it.
You think 32%?
35, yeah. 35? 35, 40% maybe.
72%.
So virtually all of them.
Virtually all of them.
Yeah.
Live in social housing. How has that happened? I'm asking you as though you're responsible. I'm not holding you personally responsible.
I know exactly how it happened. It's because the councils, the housing associations have a tick list of who's priority. More kids you've got, more priority. Refugee, more priority. Don't speak English, more of a priority. Have a different religion, more of a priority. Seen horrendous things going on in your country, got mental health issues, more of a priority. Next thing you know, you're going up that list, up the list, up the list, up the list, and you're top of the list, you get property.
Where's native British on that priority?
Right down at the bottom. Right down at the bottom.
It's just outrageous, really, isn't it? There's a couple of other examples. There's a situation in Sussex where a woman in a car, something I can't remember what happened, but I think from memory, she driving on the car, she became involved in an altercation with a man. She got out of the car, he then basically attacked her, physically knocked her to the ground, assaulted her basically. Now, again, described him as 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
We're doing well here, aren't we? Wearing a hoodie or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as we're homing in on the face, guess what their description said? 6 foot tall with dark facial hair. Now, that is a description that's meant to enable us to try and track this character down. But we're not saying 6 foot white man with dark facial hair, are we? So we immediately must think
non-white.
Non-white. But again, gaslighting. Rather than telling us the truth, giving us an accurate description so we can track him down, we can do it. And then a final one, which is really weird, and I don't know if you heard about this. It's been in the news a few times. Seems to be dying down now, but still no answers. Some partygoers were walking down an Edinburgh street last week.
Halloween,
sorry, you're right. Halloween partygoers, Halloween night, saw what they thought was a fake head lying in the street, obviously part of the Halloween trick.
Which you would.
When
I first saw that, I went, bollocks, this is a prop, this is Halloween, it's not a head.
It was a head.
It was.
They picked it up, screamed, and it's a man's decapitated head lying in the street, no body, and the body was somewhere else. And the police said, by the way, when they found this head, there were no police there, nothing there, no vehicles there. The police list said his head had been decapitated by a bus going past him in a sharp tunnel, and that's all we've heard. Now, there's no story about the bus, about the bus driver, about the bus stopping, about anything like that. All we know is there's a man's decapitated head, and it's a bus accident, nothing to see here, carry on walking.
Yeah. This is an extremely strange incident. I read on the day of the next day, they've not even found the bus driver yet, which is like, you've not found the bus driver. You're saying a bus has run over someone, decapitated someone, and the bus didn't stop. You've not found the bus driver.
But surely they know the route, they know the time, therefore they must know, they must have been, the people, they must know who they are. Drivers.
You just need to find a bus driven by Freddy Krueger. He's bound to be the one. I'm not sure if there's more to this or not. And the reason why I'm not sure is because if there was more to this, surely it'd be out. Surely we'd be talking about it. The press would be talking about it, because it's such a crazy story that surely more would come out. Now, people have said that a bus can't decapitate a body and take its head off. But do you know what? Freak accidents do all the time.
But apparently it's a clean cut.
Yeah. So there is 1,000,000 to 1 chance a bus could do that in some scenario. I don't know what scenarios, but there's a chance. If this turns out that there's more to this than that, I'll be more than shocked. I will then be going, do you know what? This will be the worst example we've ever seen.
Of this gaslighting.
Of gaslighting. That we can have someone decapitated and it's all hushed up. Are we at that position yet where that could happen? I don't think we are.
Really?
But if it turns out we are, then I need to rethink where we are. Because if they can do this to this, then I think we're in a much more dangerous situation than I think we are.
If they are hiding, I mean, if this has any relationship to terrorism, Islam, anything like that, if this has any relation, and they are hiding this...
Well, even if it's not to do with that, the fact they hid it was because they weren't sure. Yeah. And it's the fact they could hide it from us. If this turns out to be any more to this story, I will need to reassess how much danger we really are.
We are in. It's an interesting point, isn't it?
It'll take me to the next stage.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the problem I've got now is when I read these stories, and maybe I'm too far down, maybe I'm like my red pill friend now, maybe I'm too far down the rabbit hole. I automatically think there's something else. I now distrust anything like this, and I will not give the benefit of the doubt to the grubby media, to the grubby government or whatever. When I see the stuff like this now, knowing how they behave, knowing these other two stories we talked about as well, I've reached a point where I think, you know, this is something they are hiding. They're hiding something from us once again, colluding conspiring against us, the British people, in this way, basically.
You're right to think that, because they're always hiding something from us. Doesn't mean they're hiding everything from us, but we all know they're hiding stuff from us. So how do we know what they're hiding? So it makes sense to query and to not trust anything we hear.
Something quite horrendous happened over in Holland, and I can't remember whether it was it in Amsterdam where this. So the Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters.
I think it was Amsterdam, yeah.
I think it was Amsterdam, and I actually WhatsApped my brother and said, "What the hell's going on in that country?"
Yeah.
So the Maccabi Tel Aviv team came over to play a local team in Holland. When the supporters came out, there were pro-Palestinian support. I think they were pro-Palestinian. You may know more about this than I do. Who then proceeded to chase, threatening, trying to lynch. You maybe make it more detail for our viewers. Basically shouting things out like, "Now you know how it feels." But it got to the stage where Netanyahu, is he the Prime Minister of Israel or President? Prime Minister, sent planes and medical supplies. So this is a Middle Eastern country sending planes, rescue planes, and medical supplies to a Western country to save its people.
Rescue planes like we do to Africa, like
we used to do 30, 40 years ago. That's what we used to do to the third world countries. Now we have the Middle East sending rescue planes to European countries to rescue their citizens.
Yeah. I don't know that much about this, so I need to be careful what I say. First thing I'll say is, which Israeli football fan thought it was a good decision to go to Amsterdam, to leave Israel at this moment in time? I'm shocked. Any of them thought it was a good idea.
No, I think the fans were local. They were Jewish supporters who lived in Amsterdam.
Well, the planes wouldn't have been coming over then.
Oh, is that why? Oh, they were taking them. Oh, sorry, right, okay, sorry. I thought they were just going over to give aid, the planes.
No.
Oh, right, to bring them back.
These are Israeli football fans.
Right, okay, fine.
So why?
Israeli football team.
Yes. So I'm not saying Israeli football fans shouldn't come to Europe. I'm just saying if I was an Israeli football fan at this moment in time, I would not be going to. There's been a place I wouldn't be going to announce and support something to do with Israel, because I'd be looking at going, this is going to be dangerous.
Now, can I just say something now, and I don't wish to be rude in any way. You have no understanding of football at all. I've said that to you before.
You're right.
Because football fans from any country, any situation, will travel to see their team, basically. So it is almost like a religious experience. So football fans will move through heaven and earth to get to a match. So
I get that.
Yeah, I think you're being a bit harsh on them.
And I think I have to caveat me saying that by saying, but it should be okay for Israeli football fans to come to Europe.
That's what I would say.
So it should be. But the fact they came surprised me anyway. There's videos online of some of the Israeli football fans, like football fans do, chanting. There's a video of them tearing down some Free Palestine flags, which was all the far left Free Palestine violent idiots needed to attack him. And then they were chased through the streets of Amsterdam. I'm not sure how many people were hurt. I've not read that much about it, but the optics were terrible. The King of Holland said they let the Jews down in 1938, whatever. They let the Jews down then. We should have done better because we've let them down again today.
Yeah.
It was absolutely appalling.
He actually said we failed as we did in World War II.
There we go. Yeah.
I put it to you, Nick, that he has failed his people. Not just the Jews who came to that football match.
I think he failed his country.
Yeah.
And when the new Prime Minister gets into power, that
Geert Wilders. Is he going to actually become the president, is he now?
Well, he's part of the government and stuff like that. I don't think he is the president.
Yeah, I think they've kind of blocked him from getting to be as they do.
But they all know the problem and it's mass immigration, and it's Northern Africans are their big problem.
Somalians as well, I think, though. Yeah. I think for me, this was quite shocking. Firstly, that it wasn't reported at the top of the news, basically, but that we've reached a point in Europe now where angry crowds, chasing Jewish people because they're Jewish across the streets of a European city with the intent to hurt, to lynch, to kill them, seems to now be unremarkable to our media, to our government, to even our people in this country.
It was easy to dismiss because it's football fans. There's often violence between football fans. Just because Manchester United go to Galatasaray and are chased down the streets and beaten up and some are stabbed, that wasn't a religious war. That was a football war. So I'm sure there was anti-Semitism involved, a lot of anti-Semitism involved in what happened in Amsterdam, but it's easy for people to dismiss it because just football hooligans on both sides.
Yeah.
But what's been going on for this last year, on top of that, we all know what the underlying current was there.
I think it wasn't other football fans chasing them. They were waiting outside the stadium. These they weren't football fans. They'd gathered with the intent of attacking them when they left.
Absolutely, yeah.
So the difference in Galatasaray, which I've been to, but I've been there. I went there when there was actually a match. I didn't go to the match, but I was there in Istanbul. The difference is that's football fans attacking football fans. This is actually a specific anti-Jewish crowd that gathered to attack them, knowing that they would be coming out and they were Jewish.
But the mainstream media can dismiss it because they just say all football fans.
Yeah. And I think you're right about the king. Yeah, he's failed his country by the fact that it's reached this point where things like this can happen.
Yeah.
Where people, where he's allowed immigration to such a level that they feel confident enough to carry out these actions.
And they know they've had this before. During when they were taken over by Nazis in Germany.
Yeah.
There was many Dutch people, grassed up Jews.
Yeah, they quit then and they're quitting again.
So they've got form on this. So it's not like we didn't know. Well, no, we've got history 70 years ago of all this happening then. Who would have thought Western Europe would go back to this Jew hatred that we used to have?
Shocking. Talking about failing your country and failing your people, what about failing the people of Manchester? And my question to you, Nick, and I think you're going to put some colour around this because you know what I'm talking about. Manchester markets, do you think they're safe? Manchester Christmas markets.
Yeah.
Do you think they're safe, Nick?
They're as safe as they have been for the last few years, which is they're not that safe. There's always another Islamic terrorist attack coming. Always. Just like 40 years ago, there was always another IRA bombing campaign coming. So at the moment, it's Islamic terrorists. Of course, we've seen it in Germany. Of course, a great target for them will be Christmas markets, because that's not only doing a terrorist attack, we hit families, we hit celebrations, and we hit their religion. So there's many reasons why. You walk around any city centre now, just let's look at Manchester. We've got concrete bollards everywhere, we've got steel fencing, we've got ramming walls you can't get through, and all that is because diversity is our strength. That's what diversity has brought Manchester City Centre. Anti-van blockades, because we saw in Nice, somebody hired a big van, lorry, killed, I don't know, dozens and dozens of people.
Yeah, that was horrific. Remember that footage?
Yeah, absolutely horrific. And that will happen again. And that will happen again in this country. I hope it doesn't, but common sense says it's going to happen again. The next terrorist attack is only hours away. The Christmas markets will be top priority. We have armed police walking around our Christmas markets. That just shows us how much multiculturalism is failing. that we need armed police to walk around Christmas markets. We tend not to have armed police walking around Eid celebrations, or walking around Diwali, or walking around other celebrations we have, but we have it around Christmas markets because they're a target by a small percentage of Islamic nutcases. And I've said before and I'll say again, moderate Muslims need to do better. Moderate Muslims need to stand up and call out their fellow religious people and criticise them. And some of those moderate Muslims may be assassinated and may be killed, but you've got to start saving your religion in this country because it's going down the drain and the people here are getting sick of it. And when the backlash comes, it's going to be horrendous. That's why we need to solve this problem before the backlash comes.
And I think that's a really good summary of where we are. And the reason I asked the question is because Greater Manchester Police put out a tweet. I don't know if you're aware of that. With a picture of 2 armed police, as you just said, saying, Greater Manchester Police acting to keep you safe in the Christmas markets. Now the tweet was taken down because, of course, people are getting vocal now. Yeah. People are getting vocal now. And of course what they were saying is, who are you keeping us safe against?
Yeah.
And it's a really valid question, isn't it?
Is it the far right?
Yes.
Is it Trump?
Yes.
Is it dangerous dogs?
Correct.
Who are you keeping us safe from? Who do you need that machine gun to kill?
Correct. Yeah.
Who are those people?
Yes.
Silence. It just went on and on and on and on, and eventually Greater Manchester Police took the tweet down.
Yeah. And it's a really great question, isn't it? And Greater Manchester Police, again, boasting about what they're doing. Actually, what they're doing is admitting that they do not have control of radical Islam in this country, basically. And moving on again, your point there about the moderate Muslims, there was a question, wasn't there? There was a Monty Python sketch. What have the Romans, who again famous immigrants to this country, what have the Romans ever done for us? Yeah. And that joke was they then went, they gave us roads, they gave us and there was a long list of it. But what have the Muslims ever done for us? What have the Muslim communities done for us when we've seen all this violence and all this situation here? And it's a really valid question to ask, isn't it? Firstly, from the Greater Manchester Police, who are you keeping us safe from? Well, we're keeping you safe from radical Muslims. Yeah. The next question is, all these Muslims who have come here, these high percentage of numbers, what are they doing for us? What are they doing to keep us safe from the radical side of it? What are they doing for us as a community? Why do we have to have armed police to protect ourselves from your people and your religious craziness, basically? And what is the answer? What have they done for us?
As a community, nothing. So the Muslim community have done nothing. Individual Muslims, some of them have done a lot. Many have done nothing as well. But as a religion, has Islam improved the UK?
Yeah, that's a good question.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
There's nowhere you can point to say, because of Islam, this part of the UK, this problem's gone. You can't point to anything that Islam has improved the UK. You can point to lots of things where Islam has damaged the UK. I just wrote an article last week on cousin marriages, and I found it quite fascinating when I was researching it. Part of the problem we have with Islam in this country, and I'll say this again, it's not necessarily the religion, it's the people who come here who happen to be Muslims. It's their culture as opposed to Islam, the religion per se. Cousin marriage. When you marry your cousins, it's a tribal thing, it's a clan thing. You're keeping everything close together. Your wealth, your community, your traditions, and that's why lots of different communities across the world do it, cousin marriages. It keeps clans together. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't bring new ideas into those communities, because your cousins have got the same ideas as you, the same culture as you, the same traditions as you. But when you're a community that marries outside your clan, you marry someone who comes in with new ideas, new ways of this, new ways of thinking, and that develops your culture. but the people we've imported into this country, so let's talk about the Bangladeshis, the Pakistanis, Somalians, clan-based, and they keep everything together. And the Arabs have got a proverb for this. It's something like, me and my brother against my cousin. My brother and my cousin against the world. Because they're looking at clans. And that's damaging this country. This is why the Muslim community in this country won't integrate. Because they didn't integrate in their own country. Because they had clans there. They've just got a clan system here. And until I did the research on this and wrote this article, I didn't understand it too much myself.
Yeah.
But the more you look into it, the more you realise that they're too insular. So even when they realise their cousin is an Islamist, well, no, it's me and my cousin against the world. I will never give my cousin up to someone who's not part of my family, because my cousin is part of my clan. This is why moderate Muslims won't stand up for their community, because it's too clan and tribal based. How we get around that, I'd have to give it a lot of thought.
But just reflecting on what have the Romans ever done for us? If we ask the question, what have the Muslims ever done for us? Machine guns at Christmas markets, security at the airports, which delays us 20 minutes, concrete bollards all over the country.
Yep.
The list of things you made before, that's what the Muslims have done for us, isn't it?
I'd say it's worse than that. I'd say it's 100,000 girls being gang raped.
Yes.
I would say it's the ghettoification of our inner cities. There's lots of things that they've contributed that have had a negative effect on this country.
And this is the answer, isn't it? When idiots like Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer say, oh, multiculturalism is fantastic. The question to ask is, what have the Muslims ever done for us?
Well, one step further. Let's do this with any group. I'm sick of the Windrush generation. Thank you, Windrush generation, for helping them. Tell me something the Windrush generation ever did. Because, no, they didn't improve this country.
Yeah.
They suddenly became nurses. They then introduced drug issues, knife crime,
Machetes.
Street robberies, abandoning their children for the state to raise. So I'm sick of people saying these things.
Well, they're what they're throwing out is platitudes.
It's a platitude.
Let's thank the Windrush generation for everything they've done.
What did they do?
Yeah,
they can't answer what they did.
Yeah. Let's have a National Islamophobia Awareness Month to celebrate the Muslims. Yeah. Right, what have they done for it? We're having an awareness month for them. What have they ever done for us?
I would like this all turned on its head. Instead of us thanking the Windrush generation, I'd like a week of the Windrush generation thanking the UK, where I'm serious, the Caribbean community come together and thank this island and talk about the benefits they've got here and the lives they've got here and how fantastic it is. And same with Islamophobia Awareness Month. Instead of having that month, I would like to see Islam Appreciation Day.
Yeah, Islam Gratefulness Month.
Where the mosques open up and allow people inside and talk about the wonderful life we've got here, and we want to contribute to this country. We're part of this country now, and we need to. That's what I want to reverse this. I don't want us. I think you're right. I don't want us looking at them and thanking them for doing nothing. I want them thanking us for allowing them to come here and having the most amazing lives they never could have got in their ancestral homelands. That's what I'd like to see.
I think that's a great idea. When you get into power, you can actually start creating those days.
If only I could get into power.
I don't think we'd have enough. I don't think we'd have enough weeks to set that up, would we? Because 52, we'd fill them up pretty quickly, wouldn't we?
All you need is a big whip.
And talking about our fabulous government, I saw a really interesting article about the art of political lying and how it's extreme. And there was a kind of list of what has been, how they've been lying all the time, basically, this government, since they got into power.
Every politician lies. Every government lies. It's always been the case.
But these guys are getting extreme now, aren't they? So Rachel Reeves, before they won power, said, we don't need higher taxes. That's what she said. Then she then said, I'm going to have to increase taxes by 8 billion, spending by 9 billion, and borrowing by 3 billion. Do you know what she ended up with?
They raised taxes of 40 billion.
Correct. So increased taxes by 40 billion, spending by 76 billion, and borrowing 36 billion to do it. So
we have to pay all this back at some
oh God,
point.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
With our taxes and all that crap, basically. So she's gone. This is the art of political lie now, and it's accepted by the institutions, the media, or whatever. This horrific lying in our faces, from don't need taxes to we need a little bit of taxes to we need now 76 billion pounds because I'm spending so much, and by the way, we've got to borrow 36 billion of it as well. When she was asked about the 22 billion hole, she said she didn't know the state of public finances when she took office. Apparently, there's an interview that took place in June before the election in The Guardian, which highlighted her plans and what she was going to spend already. So she was lying then, basically. In an FT interview, she ruled out inheritance tax and capital gains tax. Guess what?
Yeah, both.
Both in the budget. The fiscal hole she imagined of 22 billion was actually 9.5 billion, which apparently always is around that level. Why did it become 22 billion?
Pay rises.
Correct. Public sector pay rises. So there's just a catalogue of lies which nobody seems to be concerned about.
I take my hat off to her. I take my hat off to Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. They realised in opposition that it makes no difference if we tell the truth or lie. The general public think we're going to lie even when we tell the truth.
Yeah.
So they always think we're lying. So let's lie.
Yeah.
And let's get into power and do what we want because they all think we're lying anyway.
Yeah.
Us lying, even when we're not, has been built into their decisions and their hatred of us anyway. So let's just lie. Who cares what they're going to do? Because everyone lies and we're just going to do barefaced lies and they may respect us more for it.
So during the Axel Rudikabana trial, Starmer said we have to keep quiet to avoid it prejudicing the trial, the prejudice trial.
Did it with the political prisoners though, did he?
Correct. During the Enough is Enough protests, he described all the protesters as far right. Yeah. Even when they're arrested and waiting trial. And he also said, it is not a protest if it is not legitimate. Meaning, you couldn't protest about it being a terrorist attack if it wasn't legitimate. But now we know it was legitimate.
We still don't know. It seems like it's going that way. I can't wait for this court case to end because what we will discover could be something that brings down the government or brings down Starmer if it's as bad as we think. We just have to wait and see. But the hypocrisy.
I think there's more chance of that now Trump's in power. Because of Twitter, Musk, the whole thing, and Farage. And Farage now has that boost of power behind
of course he does.
Yeah.
And he's got Parliament now as well.
Yeah,
So.
correct.
But the fact that they stopped MPs asking questions in Parliament.
Scandalous. Yeah.
It looks like things are being hid. And let's hope it all comes out.
I hope so.
So.
We talked about the protests and people being arrested for just saying things. There's a big thing happening this week, which has come really out of nowhere. You know Alison Pearson. I don't know if have you interviewed Alison Pearson or have you been interviewed by her?
Yeah.
She's a Telegraph journalist, but she's kind of, I'd say she has our views. I would say she's quite. You do know her, Alison Pearson.
I've heard of her. I don't know her. Yeah.
She's quite. I've seen a lot of her actually. She's very good, very. And she's all about free speech, and she was anti-COVID lockdowns and all that jazz. So again, irony. We talk about the stupid Somalians stabbing people in Remembrance Sunday. She was visited by two police early on Remembrance Sunday.
Yeah.
She was in her pyjamas, in a dressing gown or whatever. And they basically said she'd been accused of a hate crime for a tweet she did over a year ago, basically. Now, she asked what this was about, and she was told they weren't allowed to tell her. And she said, "Who is my accuser?"
Yeah.
And the police then said, "They're not an accuser,
No.
they're a victim."
Yeah.
And then she was asked to come for, she did a voluntary interview, which I think she refused at that point. So this has blown up. I don't know. Are you aware
I'm aware
of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. This has blown up. And I think one of the things, again, the irony, you mentioned Remembrance Sunday. Remembrance Sunday is a remembrance of people who fought for our freedoms, isn't it? And the irony that on Remembrance Sunday this happens is just really grotesque, in my view.
Yeah. First thing is, this isn't a new thing. This has been going on for years and years and years. 5, 6, 7 years. You remember the Harry Miller case?
Yeah.
So this all started under the Tories. Again, under the Tories. This is just the latest example of that. The fact that, I think it's Essex Police, the fact that Essex Police can spare two police officers to investigate a year-old tweet when crime across the country is going out of control, and I'm sure Essex Police have got lots of issues there. The fact, the issue of hate, with a non-crime hate incident is what they were
Yes, correct. Non-crime hate incident.
The fact they refer to the person reporting it as the victim has already biased the case, because to be a victim, it has to be proven that you're the victim in the first place.
Yeah.
That's why in a court of law you have the accused and the defendant.
Yeah.
So
an act needs to have taken place for somebody to be a victim. Something needs to have happened for there to be a victim.
Yeah. Well, this is that woke agenda of, we investigate hate crime to stop genocide, because hate speech leads to violence, which leads to murder, which leads to genocide, and it's a load of rubbish. But these police forces need to be taken to task. The chief constable there, I mean, if this was Manchester and I'd won the mayor position in May, the chief constable would have been sacked.
Yeah, I think if you'd won the mayoral election in May of last year, this wouldn't have happened.
No, it wouldn't have been.
It wouldn't have happened in Manchester, because you would have stopped that straight away.
Yeah.
You'd have said non-crime hate, they are not to be investigated, or they're not to be. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But lots and lots of forces are still doing it.
Which is why you need to vote for him next time. When what's his face? Andy Burnham tries to become the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolutely disgraceful that, we've got people being arrested for praying in their head, not saying a word, stood on their own, being arrested. We've got political prisoners in jail for tweets. We've got a journalist, a respected journalist, who had the police knocking on our door for something over a year old. And forget the year old, it was a tweet. This needs to stop. We are losing free speech across the West, and especially in the UK. And again, this isn't a Labour problem. This is a Labour-Tory problem. They're both as bad as each other.
Well, my views on the Tories and the Labour. They're the same party, basically.
They are,
and they're just carrying on the same policies. Yeah.
Exactly. But unless we get change, the amount of people now who talk to me online who are afraid to speak. So even though they're not being persecuted, the fear of being persecuted makes them self-censor.
Yes. Yeah.
Tyranny, even when you direct tyranny at yourself, is still tyranny.
Yeah.
We're scaring people into being silent, into being compliant. That's what the political prisoners are all about. It's, I dare you. I dare you to demonstrate. I dare you to say something. We called it a Telegraph reporter's house.
Yeah.
Over something a year ago. I dare you to say something.
Yeah.
We've just locked someone up for 3 years for a Twitter post. I dare you to put someone on Twitter. A guy who was at a demonstration, didn't do anything violent, has just killed himself in jail. I dare you. I dare you to turn up at a demonstration. I dare you.
This is what happened to you.
And we're being browbeaten, and people are afraid, and people are not speaking their mind because some of them are terrified of what may happen to them.
You mentioned the numbers, the non-crime hate incidents. In 2023 there were 11,642. We were told they'd be reduced. There were 11,690 in 2024, so they're increasing, and that's a lot, by the way. 11,000. Just going back to Essex Police, which is your point, they only solved 14.3% of reported crimes into September 2024. Of those 14.3% crimes solved, interestingly, and this is pushing the percentage up, 19% were racial insult crimes and 16% were hate crimes. So they're only solving 14.3% of crimes, but one of their biggest crime solving areas are hate crimes, racial and hate crimes. So it appears they're actually targeting these as easy crimes to prosecute.
Low-hanging fruit.
Low-hanging fruit.
Because the person who reports it to the police knows the name of the person who did it.
Yeah.
So they're easy to find.
Yeah.
It's one visit, make him apologise, close the case, that's been solved.
Yeah. And so what we're seeing here is Essex Police is shit at doing its job, and they're trying to boost their figures by focusing on hate crimes and racial insult crimes, basically.
That's one explanation. The other explanation is from the College of Policing, who sit above the police forces. Part of their directive to police forces is, if you see a reduction in hate crime, that doesn't mean there's been a reduction, because people are afraid to report hate crime. So carry on reporting, carry on investigating as much hate crime as you can, even if you see a decrease, because a decrease in hate crime cannot be trusted. That was a memo that all police forces got a few years ago.
Jesus.
So even when you're successful in reducing hate crime, the College of Police says, don't take that, don't believe that.
Go and investigate more.
Investigate more, because that could be a sign that people have stopped reporting.
But it's not a real crime, is it? This is the point. It's an easy crime. You've got the name of the perpetrator, name of the victim. The victim, in inverted commas, knows there's no issue in prosecuting, because it's generally a middle class person who's done the hate crime. So let's go and do that, and let's boost our figures. Basically.
That can be used for that.
I'm sure it is. Charge rates. Oh, by the way, guess what percentage of violence, sexual and domestic abuse they solved?
Essex Police?
Yeah.
6%.
10%. But one of the lower percent. What I'm saying is, something that's serious.
That's serious crime now.
That's serious crime. They're solving less of that than they are flipping hate crimes.
So every 10 women you rape, assault or punch, you get away with it 9 times.
Well, hey, come on the lads. Hey? I mean, that's it, isn't it, basically?
That should be a priority.
Yeah, you've got a 1 in 10 chance of getting into trouble if you rape a woman, basically, in Essex. The police force in the UK, since 2016 to 2024, charge rates have plummeted. So this is charging of people following a crime. So vehicle theft, which was charge rates was 9%, is now down to 2.7%. Which is, I mean, the 9% is crap anyway.
Yeah.
The 9% is crap anyway. So these are reported crimes. Burglar reported crimes, the 100% reported crimes, the charge rates have gone down from 7% to 4.5%. We have an incompetent, incapable, not fit for purpose police force in this country who are now turning up at journalists' doors and prosecuting them for tweets.
It's not just a police force, it's the whole criminal justice system. You could reduce many of those crimes dramatically if we started looking up prolific criminals for a much longer period. The peak...
No, we've got to let them out to put the protesters in.
It's a very good point. I mean, that's what Starma did. He released real criminals to put in political prisoners.
Yeah.
But if we started looking up men aged between 18 and 30 who, by the time they got to 18, were criminally active, multiple offences, and we locked them up for those 10, 12 years, most of those crimes would fall off a cliff. It's only a small percentage of people who commit the vast majority of crime. And at the moment, burglars don't get sent to jail, don't even get caught, and the man's sent to jail. So it seems like everyone's committing crime. No, it's a handful of people in each neighbourhood that if we locked up until they grew out of committing crime, which is usually about 30, we'd see our crime rates drop.
That's interesting.
And there's many studies and there's many scientific papers across the world on this. We just haven't got the balls to do it.
That could be one of the first things you do when you seize power. In 2010, an average officer made 10 arrests per year.
Yeah.
That's good. How many has that gone down to in 2023?
I'm shocked it's only 10 a year and it's gone down from that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Really? Did you not know that? Only 10 arrests a year, an average copper. Yeah.
I didn't know it was that low for an average copper. So it's gone down. What's it now?
4.5.
4.5.
So an average policeman makes 4.5 arrests a year.
That's one arrest every 2.5 months.
1.25.
Yeah.
I'm coming up to my first quarter. I better get arrested.
Yeah.
Then I've got my 4 for the year. You're quite shocked, but I don't think I've shocked you before.
No, I didn't think it'd be 10. But it'd be a lot higher than that. I know there is officers who make no arrests. And there's officers who just bang them out.
Yeah.
We need to be looking at why those officers don't make any
Getting more bang 'em out ones.
Yeah.
Getting more bang 'em out ones. Yeah, I know a guy, a friend of mine, who used to be an armed police, and he was always arresting people. He was like busting in Moss Side and all those sort of things, arresting guys with guns and all that sort of stuff. So he was always arresting people. He must have done more than 4.5 a year.
Exactly. So he's compensating for the ones. There was a stat out a few years ago, I can't remember what it was now, but there was a certain percentage of police officers in the UK who'd not made an arrest in the last year. And I can't remember what it I'd be guessing.
Why can't they go the way of traffic wardens? When we were young, traffic wardens hardly ever gave tickets out, remember?
Yeah.
It was all on you go, son, you're fine, all that sort of stuff. Now they're all over the place. Why can't coppers have gone that way?
Because the traffic wardens now are private companies.
Yeah.
And those private companies are saying to their staff, if you don't hit your quota, if you're not doing that, we're sacking you. Because every ticket you give out, we earn half the ticket. So there's incentive now for companies to do that, hence why they went private.
Every officer should have a minimum of 10 arrests a month to do.
So, yeah, I get
then the hate crime percentages will go up.
I get the point of that, but what happens then is police officers then, towards the end of the month, will be looking for an excuse to arrest people. That's what would happen.
Yeah, and every end of the month will be like, flipping heck, a minute.
What we really need is to be sacking unproductive police officers.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. We need real good assessments throughout the whole public sector. Sitting down going, what does this department achieve? Show me what you achieve, real achievements. Yes. What do you achieve?
Well, I can tell you it's pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
In 2023, half of all neighbourhoods in England and Wales did not have a single burglary solved.
I remember reading that beginning of the year.
I don't know what that means, half of all neighbourhoods. Is that what it just
So like? every area is split into neighbourhoods. So, for example, I know Manchester best. So Manchester, the city of Manchester is split into 3 divisions, and in those divisions they're split into about another 5 areas. So the city.
And those areas are neighbours.
Those areas are called neighbourhoods.
Is that like Chorlton and things like that? Is that neighbourhood?
Yeah. Or it could be basically a council ward.
Right.
Will be a neighbourhood.
Right.
And so half of those neighbourhoods across the country, council wards, never had one burglary solved in a year. That is just shocking.
It is shocking.
But all our public services are failing, all of them.
In the year to June 2024, there were 1,290 shoplifts. Yeah. 1,200 recorded a day.
Yeah. And it's heavily underreported.
Yeah, less than 1 in 6 had a visit.
Yeah.
Again, our police are just failing us left, right and centre.
Yeah.
But they're concerned about Alison Pearson's house on Remembrance Sunday.
Yeah.
2 of them.
So what the police did I was part of it at the time, about 15 years ago, police, when austerity kicked in, the police were looking at how can we make our limited resources stretch further. So they came up with an idea that why are we policing shoplifting? Private business, do it yourself. Don't let him in, prosecute himself, kick him out, we're not interested. And shoplifting was fairly low anyway. The second they did that, they sent a signal around the country that it's now semi-legal to shoplift. The police are not interested.
Yeah.
So people started shoplifting, getting away with it. That spreads, more people find out, and next thing you know, and then you see all the videos online from America, and now it's an epidemic because there's no chance you're getting caught. If you get caught, you won't be arrested, and you can make a fortune at it. There was a Romanian gang or Bulgarian gang last month in the paper making hundreds of thousands of pounds. They were called a champagne gang because they targeted all the supermarkets stealing champagne, boxing it up and sending it back to Romania or Bulgaria, wherever they came from, and making a fortune.
Really? I think we're coming to the end now, but there's something I wanted to go over with you because we just going back to the American election, something I wanted to talk about. There's always been a rumour, and Trump has always said that he believes that the election was stolen in 2020. I don't know where you sit on that.
Up to recently, I didn't have any thoughts on it. I wasn't that interested in it, looking into it. But then during the election, somebody said something on one of the shows that made me go, I didn't know that. And it was how many voters there were at the last election compared to how many voters are voting at this election. And it seems to be 25 million people turned up at the last election who'd never existed before, voted, and have not turned up this time to vote. And what happened in the last election? Postal votes went out of control. So
I've actually got these numbers here, and I think for me this just says there's something very, very wrong. So these are the number of Democratic votes that were placed in the various elections. So 2008, Democrat voters, 69 million turned up. 2012, which was, I don't know who it was, 65 million people turned up. 2016, which was Trump's, 65 million again turned up. And remember how they were exhorting Democrats to vote or whatever. We'll just go to 2024 first, where Kamala lost. So despite all the money the Democrats spent on get 66 million Democrat votes. So we're pretty much seeing for the Democrats, the voters mid-60s. Biden 2020, 81 million Democrat votes. Now, call me stupid. There is something that stinks about that. It's got to be. And I think if 2024 had been 81 million as well, you might think, oh, well, obviously they're turning out whatever. The fact it's dropped down to that standard, and by the way, the Republicans flew armies of lawyers out to all the swing states and various states to make sure that the elections, everything was managed. I think even Musk was flying out special people to sort things out. So I think they were closely monitored this time. But that's got to stink, hasn't it? 16 million people from nowhere.
Who came for one election, voted and never came back. And this was the election where we're going to lose democracy. Trump's Hitler. This will be the last election.
This is the biggest election there has been in decades.
And those 16 million didn't turn up again. Crazy.
That, to me, suggests there is something very, very wrong.
I've got a last point as well to mention.
I was going to do one more point.
I hope
is yours going to be the ending point? Because I'll do.
No, you can do yours after that. I just want to before you say goodbye, because you want to end it before I say what I want to say, because I know you do. We had a discussion about rifles.
Oh my!
Didn't
God.
we? We had a discussion about rifles, about semi-automatic.
Talk about bitter memories. Talk about revenge, petty revenge.
Yes, and I was saying, I was being very polite when you're wrong there, Lindsay. And you're going, I'm not wrong. I fired a gun. The dang one, you're wrong, Lindsay. So we'll let the gentle listeners tell us. and we got a couple of dozen comments.
I think we got like 100.
and it was like a democratic election. It was 100% on one side.
Yes. It was similar to Biden's 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Nick, I have to apologise to you.
I don't want an apology.
Because I was misinformed. What he must have said to me was, if you keep your finger on the trigger, it will empty the magazine. But you are correct. If you release the trigger, it will stop shooting. And actually, I was reflecting on it afterwards. It would be a crazy situation because once you pull that trigger, if you lost control of the gun, it'd be all over. So yes, you are correct. An automatic rifle will fire continuously whilst you are holding the trigger.
Yeah.
A semi-automatic rifle will fire single shots
every time you pull
the trigger.
Anyway, what was your last point?
That's fine.
I don't want to labour.
You've had your petty revenge.
I don't want to labour.
You've had your petty revenge. You couldn't be graceful about it. That's fine. You're like the Democrats not acknowledging the. Tatiana McGrath commented on the American election. So for our listeners, Tatiana McGrath is the pseudonym, the alter ego of Andrew Doyle.
Yeah.
And she said, "I haven't been this distressed since my niece spat out the puberty blockers I smuggled into her rusks."
That's funny.
And then she said, "There have been 3 assassination attempts against Trump, proving he's guilty of inciting violence." It goes on and on, but I just thought that was hilarious. And that is actually the way the Democrats think, isn't it, about things? So I just thought it was a nice thing to end.
If people are trying to kill you, you must have done something.
You've done something wrong.
Yeah.
You must have caused aggression somewhere. But I mean, just to finish seriously on the Trump thing, I'm so pleased that he won.
He's not taken office yet. There'll be lots of people out there who don't want him. He's still in a lot of danger.
Don't rain on my parade, Nick.
No, I just hope he takes all the precautions.
No, but presumably now, even if they try and assassinate him, J.D. Vance will take over, won't he?
Yes.
Yeah, so what I mean is they've won now, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've won now, so the Republicans are in office now.
And you've seen the office that Elon Musk will be running.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
It's
Dodge or something.
It's a joke, isn't it? Because it's his favourite Bitcoin. Yeah.
Right. Department
of Government Efficiency.
Yes.
Yes.
And he's looking at taking off $2 trillion off the annual budget of America. To do that, he's going to have to not cut money. He's going to have to get rid of whole departments.
Oh, people.
And whole projects and just.
Yeah, but what you should do is get rid of all the left-wing bloody public sector people, all the Democrat voting public sector. That's what he needs to do. Hopefully a lot of them are resigning now anyway. So.
They never resign. Cushy government jobs, they never resign. They think they're untouchable. And up to now, they have been untouchable.
Yeah. But the same thing needs to happen here.
Yes.
I think what we need to... I mean, the timing is actually quite good, isn't it? We can now watch what Trump's going to do in America for 4 years. And that's when our next election happens, isn't it?
And the people here will be going, I want some of that.
Yeah.
Look at the economy, I want some of that.
Yeah, look at the deportation.
Yeah, I want some of that. Look at the wall, I want some of that.
Yeah.
The drilling for oil, jobs are coming in, I want some of that.
Yeah.
He's put tariffs on foreign goods, they're all loaded now. I want some of that.
Yeah, he's reduced taxes. He's getting rid of taxes.
Yes.
Could be really good. So I wanted to say I don't think I've expressed in this podcast how much I'm pleased about this.
He gives me hope. He gives me hope.
And on that stunning revelation from Nick Buckley, MBE, thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you very much.